Excellencies, Dr. Shihun, distinguished guests and honorable friends, ladies and gentlemen, allow me at the outset to thank most sincerely Ambassador Hannash and Dr. Shihun for this excellent initiative in organizing this meeting, which provides us with an excellent opportunity to discuss the prospects of the Algerian-American economic ties. I also thank you all most warmly for attending this meeting to discuss precisely this topic. I met yesterday Secretary Blinken, with whom I had a very fruitful exchange, as candid, as full of expectations, confidence, and optimism. And let me tell you that you have been the subject of a good deal of our conversation. Indeed, we agreed on the need to strengthen the presence of American investors in Algeria, who I believe can play a decisive role in modernizing, energizing, and diversifying our economy while fostering closer the ties between our two friendly nations. So here I am, standing before you as a strong advocate for the prosperous future that lies ahead, the future that can be achieved through building strong and vibrant partnership. Algeria is truly undergoing a renaissance under the leadership of President Abdelmajid Tebboune, who launched a vast program of political and economic reforms. But before discussing with you these economic reforms, their scope and their aims, allow me to picture you the new Algeria with some figures. After a slowdown in growth in 2020 and 2021, due mainly to the COVID-19 pandemic and the fall in hydrocarbon prices on the international market, the national economy has known vigorous growth in 2022 with a rate of 4.7%, while that of non-hydrocarbon GDP reached 3.2% in the same year, 2022. By the same token, Algeria exports increased in 2022, reaching their highest level in 10 years, counting $68.7 billion. The current account surplus increased in the second half of 2022, reaching 9.5% of the GDP, allowing foreign exchange reserves to increase to the level of 61.7 billion. Algeria's trade balance reached a surplus of US dollar 20.21 billion at the end of 2022 against 1.1 billion US dollars the previous year. Exports in non-hydrocarbon registered a consequent increase, which rose from 5 billion US dollars in 2021 to 7 billion in 2022. Inflation, in spite of the rise in import prices, was contained at 9.8% in the first quarter of 2023. In order to reduce it further, the Bank of Algeria initiated another appreciation of the dinar in the second half of 2023. The budget deficit narrowed in 2022, although public spending absorbed the largest part of the increase in hydrocarbon revenues. In addition to the sharp increase in hydrocarbon revenues, there was a moderate recovery in tax revenues, supported by the new dynamism of the national economy. The overall treasury deficit fell from 7.2% of GDP in 2021 to 2.9% in 2022. At the same time, public savings jumped to 8.1% of the GDP, and public debt fell to 55.6% of GDP. For more than 15 years, foreign debt has almost ceased to exist in Algeria's economic landscape. While those figures attest to the country's sound economic and financial health, the volatility of oil prices recalls the imperative of economic diversification in Algeria. Fully aware of this reality, of our weaknesses, and the pivotal role foreign investment can play to make a reality of this diversification of our economy, the Algerian government undertook important reforms and far-reaching structural changes in its economic environment to build up a friendly business climate in line with the expectations of foreign investors. In this regard, the government embarked on an ambitious policy of stimulating private and foreign investment, in particular through a new law on hydrocarbons adopted in 2019, the partial lifting of limits on foreign shareholding as of 2020, a new investment law adopted in 2022, followed by a new banking and monetary law in 2023. Other legal instruments related to the business climate are in the process of being adopted, such as the Public Procurement code, the draft law on land, or the draft of a new